It feels good to be back on Hermitcraft, and it feels equally as good having you guys this close to my face again. Oh goodness me, we're getting closer. Wow, this is... How close can we get? The answer is this close. And it proves that my brain is just purely mustaches, or the reverse of mustaches, anti-mustaches, whatever you'd call it. Over the past couple of days, I have been AFKing a little bit over at my mob farm, so I'm very, very curious to see what sort of mob drops we've got. That maybe isn't the best of news. Okay, so it seems like occasionally some mob drops will land on the edge. We're gonna have to look into that one, but I am definitely curious. Okay, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. Not bad at all. Considering that's around about 10 hours, I would say, of good AFK time, and people are coming on and off the server, loading up different areas, which will reduce the spawn rates. I'm pretty happy with that. Anyway, in today's Hermitcraft episode, we're going to be doing something that I've seen requested down in the comment section quite a bit, which is to work on my base. Okay, and you guys have read me correctly. A lot of people are saying that I'm too scared to work on my base, and I'm working on other things because I'm scared to touch my base, and that is 100% correct. Okay? I'm not even going to try and hide it. This is a daunting project for me. This is a huge building project. And I get so scared about building things. But I think I just need to face my fears, and I need to start just chucking blocks in. And to start chucking blocks in, I need to start chucking blocks out of the landscape. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Basically, I need to do some mining. I tried my best to be funny there. Alright, it might have flopped. You know, I'm sure you'll let me know down in the comment section. First things first, we need to get these towers built. Or these spires? Would they be spires? No, they're probably not spires. Hangy-offy bits. The hangy-offy bits of the build. We need to build those. And I'm going to be honest with you, they are super, super confusing to build. My brain is firing on all cylinders right now, trying to get this thing constructed. But I think, actually... I think we've just reached the top of one side of one of the hangy-offy bits. Yeah, I mean, it looks about right. It looks like we reached the top. So now I guess we fly down and we see how it looks from this little perch. Okay. Well, it certainly looks a lot more solid. God, we need to do so much ruining to all this stuff, though. There's probably like 40 hours of just pure ruining that needs to be done to this build. That's crazy. Right, the other side is now all in place as well. Still looking incredibly clean, no ruining going on, but you guys know the drill on that one. The thing that I'm a little bit worried about, though, is this area. I'm honestly not entirely certain how I'm going to connect up these two sides. There's diagonals, there's a lot of angles going on, there's gaps that I need to maintain. Goodness me. My levels of anxiety are rising. This is why I've been working on the industrial district and not in this area, because I'm scared now. With that being said, this seems like the way to do it. I mean, yeah, it makes logical sense to me. It's all looking a little bit busy right now, but I think that will calm down. I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. I'm not scared. How is it that this looks less busy now? I've shifted to using way more cobblestone than stone bricks. I think these two textures matching up, I think that's what's causing the problem. And also, as always, the lack of ruination. Ruination is required. Alright, let's get these other three hangy-offy bits all constructed. And you know what? I think this will work best in the form of a time-lapse. And the urge to just run the music from the Mumbo for Mayor advert on repeat is quite high. But instead of doing that, I'm going to ramble on for a little bit. We're going to have a small time-lapse chat here. And I just want to say, I've been going outside so much recently. I've been enjoying the outdoors so much. And just being a lot more active recently. And I've got to say, it feels great, except for the pain. I get like a bit of a meathead. You know, I started walking, and now I've started walking. I try my best to walk 15 kilometers a day. That's crazy. Okay, my legs ache. But also, I've gotten back into BMXing. As you know, I still think of myself as being like 14 years old. I was dedicated to BMXing. I did nothing but BMX. I still think I can do the stuff that I used to do when I was 14. And I definitely can't. But I still try it, and I bin it daily. So my leg is all bruised up, it's all scratched up, I've got skin missing on my knees and my elbows. I don't know why I do this to myself. I just haven't grown up at all. I'm 24 years old. Can someone who's older than me let me know if things change, or do you always stay like this? Is this something that's permanent? It did take a decent number of hours, but look at this. So I think the reason that it looked so busy to me is because I could see through parts of it and the other ones weren't done, and it was like a wiry mess. There was lots and lots of things happening, lots of unfinished structures. Now that all of it is solid, goodness me, it looks wild. And I love the fact that it's in proportion with the other parts of the build as well. It just really ties it in together. I'm a huge fan. And as is tradition, you know, I've been time-lapsing for, I don't know, 3-4 hours now. Kubo hasn't touched his squeaky toy. As soon as I start recording, okay, a clip that requires my voice, Kubo goes and gets his squeaky toy. I think this might be one of my personal favourite angles. Then we get the feeling of the outside wrenches. I don't actually know what they're called. You guys call them wrenches, so I'm going to call them wrenches as well. So you've got the outside wrenches and then the inside tower. Whew. I'm impressed. I'm also absolutely knackered. So I think I'm going to head off for tonight. I'm going to load up my little AFK zone here, and we're going to get a bunch more mob drops. And while I do that, I'm going to leave you with a message from our sponsors.
Mumbo Jumbo, finest mustache in the land. Pinstripes till he has a plan. Vote Mumbo Jumbo for mayor. Mumbo Jumbo, talking about the people's champ. Have your say and take your stand. Vote Mumbo Jumbo for mayor.
That will never not be funny. Well, I think it's safe to say that went well. We now have a fully filled in gunpowder storage. In fact, I wonder, has it actually gone to... Oh my goodness. Okay, we filled up this one as well. Hang on a minute. I've just flown up here and I can see a base of wood. Oh, for goodness sake. Loving my new home. The view here is amazing. Thank you for moving me, Jared. The Jarrett has been moved from Iskal's ridiculous tree onto the top of my ridiculous base. And annoyingly, it looks really good. The Jarrett actually looks good. Oh my goodness. The Jarrett might end up staying. That's too funny. What's really hilarious is that Iskal actually did something like this in Hermitcraft Season 6, where he built Bumbo Baloney, and he stayed for the whole season. It improved my base massively. And it's made me think, maybe I need something like this at the top of mine. It's like a perfect central point. Anyway, all chariots aside, now it's time to actually start building up the middle sections that are going to go up through the base. Now, this is something that I've been a little bit afraid of. Once again, I mean, that's a running theme throughout this episode, to be honest with you. But I've got a strategy of how it's going to work. I'm essentially going to mirror the ratios that I use down at the bottom here. So I'm going to work out where this starts in relation to this pillar, and then I'm going to take that information and apply it to this one. I mean, we literally can't go wrong if I do that, because I think this bottom bit looks good, so then this bit will look good. Yes? I mean, am I right? I'm definitely right, aren't I? 1 hour later, this is what we've got. This is what we've got so far. I've built a lot of stuff, I've taken it down, I've restarted, and yeah, I've been dealing with maths problems this entire time, but now I think I've finally worked out where this needs to be. And I'm feeling pretty confident that it should all look in proportion, so I've just built up one part of the building, and I've also built in the kind of wraparound bit that we have up at the top, and now I'm going to see where it sits, and that looks pretty good to me. Yes, that looks good to me, because imagine that wrapping around there. We're going to have like a nice tower going up encased by these. Do you remember back in the day before Elytra were introduced, you just used to fall off stuff and die? Like, I'd be working on a project like this where I'm up high, and if I misstepped, my thumb slips off shift, I plummet to my death. I honestly, and I know I say this pretty much every single episode, I can't imagine playing Minecraft without the Elytra anymore. It just seems so strange to me. Right, with one of the templates all fully completed, all of the blocks are in place, and it's looking good, it's looking in proportion, I think it's time to actually start work on building the other 4. I think that's the way that I'm going to do it. I'm going to build this up basically like a layer cake. In fact, now that I think about it, it is kind of like a layer cake. Is there some form of name that we can come up with here? The Mumbo Jumbo layer cake base? The wedding cake base? I mean, I'm sure you guys can get creative down in the comment section. You're far smarter and funnier than me. And actually, on the topic of names of bases and things, you know Iskal's got his IBBB? Well, ours is now officially called the IBBBBBBBBBIBI. Yeah, it's taken me a lot of time to get that, but the IBBBBBBBBIBI officially stands for the In-Between Bases base built by Bumbo Baggins, but inspired by Iskal. I personally think that name could catch on. And I cannot wait for somebody to remix that into Darude's into the Darude Sandstorm because it's not far off already. And now that I've said that, Darude Sandstorm is going to be entirely stuck in my head for probably the next few months because that tends to be how that goes. Goodness me, I've just flown away from this thing. Having the second one in place is giving me like a proper feel of how this is going to look. And I'm excited. I'm so glad I decided to do this. I've been putting it off for far too long. As with most Minecraft builds, the actual process of building up the things isn't the complicated part. Like, placing in the blocks is easy, it's plain sailing. The complicated part is making sure that you're not going to build it in a stupid location. Okay, that is lined up with that. That should be the correct distance from that. If it's not, I cry a lot. Thankfully, no tears today. All 4 have been built. Obviously, all 4 require ruining, but you already know that. The next thing that I need to work on are the diagonals, and they kind of prevent their own sets of problems because these diagonals are actually offset from the top of these. So that means that this is going to be dropped down a little bit. We're actually going to have some kind of structure. I mean, there's a lot of structural stuff that actually has to happen here. A lot of structural stuff. I have just realised though, so with these arches, I forgot to mention, you're probably looking at them thinking these are the squarest, most unrounded arches I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to build an arch, or if I'm going to build like windows, or just a textured wall here. That's why I've left it completely open, so don't worry, this is not how it's going to be staying, alright? These do not appear to be lining up. And that has me a little bit confused, and more importantly, slightly concerned. They should be on perfect diagonals, but they're not. Time to cry a lot. Time to cry a lot. I swear, at this point in time, I spend most of my time on the Hermitcraft server either gathering XP to repair my tools or mining stone. This is basically my Hermitcraft experience, and apparently being attacked by spiders. That seems to be part of it too. Now, I'm just smelting up a bunch of smooth stone, and I started thinking, I swear smooth stone used to be a lot brighter looking than what it is now, but it's just because of slabs. Which makes me think, I think I prefer this. I think this is more of a contrast to the rest of the build. The smooth stone in our current build kind of blends in a little bit, whereas this is a little bit more punchy. So I might try this out in parts of it. And if I prefer it, then I have to replace all of the smooth stone with smooth stone slabs. And I'm going to cry a lot. I really hope this is the worst thing that I've ever seen, so that I don't have to do that. That's what I've got my fingers crossed. It's the first time in my entire life where I've got my fingers crossed for something looking terribly ugly. Well, the bad news is that I think I prefer it. I definitely prefer the stone slabs to those, the full blocks. I think it just stands out so much more. It's a much better contrast. But I'm not actually going to do it for this level. I think looking at this, it's just too much diagonal action going on. Way too much. So I think instead of having diagonals here, we're actually just going to make a cross out of these archways. So we're just going to connect straight up, just have a line straight, and then they're going to connect up in the middle naturally. And then we can build up a top tower in the middle there. And I think that it will kind of take some of the, not busyness, but yeah, kind of busyness out. Yep, even just building these few here, million times better. It's just a different shape. It brings something to it. I mean, obviously so much has still got to be done, but I think this is a step in the right direction. Even if it was totally built in the wrong direction, so now I have to take it down and start again. I love building. I really do. I tell you what, I'm actually getting hand cramps from placing so many blocks. Just never right-clicked so hard in my life. But it is now all built, it is now all constructed, these two are now fully connected, and now I guess we see if my idea actually worked out. Which I would say it does. There is some depth there is some contrast, we can clearly see there's a difference between the outer edge and that building, which is hugely important. I do feel like it's worth mentioning though that this of course is a work in progress, things can change, and if you do have any suggestions, to any of you builders out there, down in the comments section, please do give your suggestions. I read through them, sometimes I pick up things that are actually really smart ideas down there, so please, if you have any ideas, let me know. And of course remember, this is going to be ruined. We've got plenty of ruining left to do. I can't help but notice, I've just come through to the shopping district, I seem to be pretty much in last place. I mean, Doc M hasn't actually been on the server for about a month, so he has no votes currently. But look, we've only got 3 support. I mean, Joe Hills is rocking it, but he's kind of running for dog catcher. He's doing his own thing. But False is killing it. Stress is absolutely blasting ahead. Grumbot? I mean, we should have known. We built him, right? Graham built him up, already looking confused. He's shrugging his shoulders. He's like, I don't know. You tell me. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, we built the film studio. We've got the advert. We've got the grumbot shop. Actually, on the topic of that, I should probably see what the grumbot shop is doing. What's happening here? Oh my goodness, look, there's advertising going on and everything. We've got some staunch competition. With that being said, we do have the most adorable store in all of the land. So that could be playing to our favour a tiny bit. Has anyone... Oh my. Oh, people have bought moustaches and everything. And we've even... I wonder who's run the advert. I'm going to have to look out for that now. I do desperately need to come up with some profitable shop at some point soon though, because... You know, having to mine for my diamonds is a little bit depressing. That's not the Hermitcraft way, okay? We don't mine for diamonds on the Hermitcraft server. No, we make them by building cool shops and things. And I'm hoping I can get the industrial district built so I can sell all of the stuff from that, because we are going to be overflowing with items. And actually, on the topic of the industrial district, there's something that I really quickly want to do. This sugarcane farm right here, this is currently a very manual design. I have to hit the button and then I destroy the server with lag. Thankfully, it's just me and Stress Online. Look at all that sugarcane. Just Really? Really? The sugarcane stops as I start? I can't believe it. Anyway, I wanted to create a system so that I wouldn't have to manually harvest my sugarcane, so I can AFK at my mob farm and also leave this thing active. So I've designed this little thing right here. It's nothing too complicated. However, it's a little bit more than just a regular redstone clock. I'm hoping now... everything should be good and ready to go. So we have a little redstone clock right here, which is slowing down the transfer of items from this hopper into this hopper. So this means that this has a delay that is twice as long as a regular hopper timer, and then when it flips over, it will activate a monostable circuit, which will then activate this pulse extender right here, which will send it through, and it will harvest the entire farm. So I'm thinking with this setup here, we should get a harvest roughly every 10 minutes, which means it shouldn't create too much lag for the server. This is probably one of my favourite views of this place. I just think it looks so mean. It's very strange actually coming out my hobbit hole to see a semi-completed looking base here. I mean, not completed looking, but it actually looks solid now. And in that very short time away from it, I've come up with a few ideas in which I can improve it. I think one of the big things that is messing with my eyeballs is the fact that I can kind of see through and see all of this stuff. Like, this is hectic. This is manic. So I'm going to try my best to put some form of floor in on these areas here, and that will divide things up a bit. It's funny how placing in something like that just improves the situation tenfold, because if you look at this side, look, we're seeing bits of this, we're seeing bits of this, we're seeing the other side, we're seeing all this. No wonder it looks so confusing to the eyeballs, whereas this side, you know, we're already starting to clean things up. Now, I'm going to attempt a bit of a wild card in this area here, but obviously I really like the idea of this being a very jungly, very green base. Obviously right now I know it looks very stony, but eventually we are going to have leaves and trees and things growing up it and all sorts of flowers and things. So to me it makes sense that we would actually make use of grass on these kind of balcony platform sections. At least it is worth giving it a go. And now that we have a decent chunk in place, I'm extremely curious. Oh wow, that's made such a huge difference. Oh, you can actually separate the building now from the towers. How funny is that? Just that tiny little change. This now looks like a central tower that's being surrounded by something. That's exactly what I wanted. It's been stressing me out. It's been stressing me out all day, not being able to separate the two. I've been thinking maybe I might need to change the blocks that I use for the outside. No, I just needed a floor. I needed a floor in place and something that just broke it up a little bit. Maybe if we even start running like bamboo and things behind this, then it will be even more obvious. That is such a huge positive change. So I've got an incredibly long way still to go on this thing. Obviously a mega base is it's a mega project. That's kind of how these things go. I've got a long way to go. I've got a lot of experimenting still left to do, but I feel like we have made huge progress in today's Hermitcraft episode. You have to remember when we started off, I mean, it was just these bottom bits. We didn't really even have a plan for this top section, and none of these things were filled. Now we actually have a solid looking tower in the middle here, and I can really see this coming together, and it has me incredibly excited. So I do hope that you enjoyed this Hermitcraft episode. It's been a ton of fun, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya! I Oh, my mouth's gone numb.